All right, and welcome back to Quantum Break, where we had just found out that Paul Serene has had the countermeasure this whole time. It is the CFR at the Monarch Tower. We've pretty much guessed that this whole time, as they've been alluding to that for most of the game. But the crazy bit of Paul Serene killing Beth Wilder to try and basically to steal it from her is ridiculous. And then the video, the last interact video that went had quite the action scene at the end and quite a brutal fight scene. So hopefully you enjoyed that, because I was definitely not expecting that to happen. So let's get this Act 5 to start. Actually, let's go through the timeline first, because I'm pretty sure Act 5 is the last one, if I'm correct. Because looking up here, it looks like Act 5 starts here. And I've pretty much found, well, I'm missing one document there. Oh, and we also need to go through Act 4's Quantum Ripples as well, actually, while we're in here. Now that we've seen the video. Ooh, 90%. Ooh, missing a Chronon source in this one. No. There's a ripple. Did I not even find the ripple? Oh. Interesting. Okay. No. Oh, there we go. Power outage at the industrial area transformer yard, July 4th, 2010. Effect: Paul the Punch Palmer quits his job as an electrician, goes into politics. Effect: Palmer's rival candidate, District Attorney Billings, killed in a freak accident involving faulty wire in 2002. Paul the Punch Palmer runs for mayor in 2016. How far the ripples can go. 6 years later. Morphin. Wait, what? This was back in 2010? I was gonna vote for that guy. Ranger. Yeah, I managed to trace the ripples. Crazy, huh? You can still vote for him. Morphin. Yeah, but it's not the same anymore. Ranger. That makes no sense. Nothing has changed. He's as good or bad as candidate as he ever was. Morphin. It's just not the same. Alright, well, missed one ripple, but I can go back and try and find that out later. But yeah, let's start Act 5.
It's obvious the city's going crazy. The entire world. I can't even keep up with the reports. Listeners, you really want to stay indoors? Don't go outside. We don't know.
Time was broken. Working out of sync. The city was in a state of chaos. The end of time was closing in.
And you still believed you could fix it?
The solution was inside Monarch Tower. A countermeasure.
The CFR, as Monarch knew it. The key to the lifeboat protocol. Monarch's survival plan. But that didn't seem to matter to you.
I had a better plan.
Damn rights we do.
Okay.
Christ!
Well, shit.
Just give up. Where do they keep the countermeasure? Shouldn't be too hard to find. It's the biggest damn building in Riverport.
Oh man, there's so much crazy stuff happening. Reports of more and more accidents.
Jack? I hope you can hear me.
Fiona? Is that you?
Yes. I wasn't sure if I could make this work. Listen, the CFR, it's not easy to reach, but you can access it from Serene's office. A friend of mine has unlocked the CFR chain, but the rest of the place is still in lockdown. I think I could help you with that. Like this.
I guess you can.
Serene isn't in the building anymore, so maybe you don't have to run into him.
Welcome to the international headquarters of Monarch Solutions. This state-of-the-art building has become world-famous for its unique architecture and its iconic presence in the Riverport skyline. Incorporating an unprecedented level of automation designed with both comfort and security in mind, complete with a zero-carbon footprint, the building provides a safe and environmentally friendly workplace for thousands of Monarch employees. Monarch Solutions. All we think about is the future.
Zero carbon footprint. Yeah, and a bunch of dead civilians.
Perfect. Just a long ways up, that's all.
Buildings in lockdown. The hell's that even mean?
Poor bastard doesn't know anything about the train crash. Hope he doesn't have a heart attack when time resumes.
Fair.
Right, but Paul's office.
Clarice Agawa to Monarch HQ Chronon active personnel. Attention, the lifeboat security protocols are now in full effect. Our stutter proofing has failed, and we have reports of shifters in the building. Oh shit. You all know the drill. We have trained for this. Do not approach shifters alone. Remember that they are not restricted by the physical space in the same way
Elevated to Paul's office.
we are. Deploy dampeners and watch your backs. Work in teams. Remember your tactics. Maintain your distance. Don't take any unnecessary chances. Comms are unreliable due to the stutters, so pass the word to others and take advantage of stutter collapses to communicate as effectively as you can. We are attempting to repair the stutter proofing as quickly as possible, but be advised that contrary to our earlier timeline, which gave us years more to prepare, we believe we are now on the verge of the final zero state. And every single stutter we encounter is more and more likely to be the one that never ends. That means our priorities have changed. The LIFO protocol is in full effect, and ensuring its success is our only objective, whether the opposition is shifters, Jack Joyce, or anybody else. It's vital that we all remember our training. If we do things right, we will make it out of this, and we will make our way into the lifeboat. Good luck, and make me proud.
I really don't want to go outside.
Luther Talbot to Pablo Torres.
There's no way for them to understand what's happening. Must be scary.
Hey Pablo, I think it's getting close. You better get your ass to a stutter-proofed area. I still can't believe this is real, but you've seen what it's like up there. Half the world's going to shit. Just glad we're in here. I don't know how it's all gonna play out, but at least this way we get a chance. Maybe we can fix things later. I bet those science guys can work it out, right? And hey, if you see that Jack Joyce asshole, just run, dude, okay? I was talking to Clarice, and I didn't realize this before. I thought he was just sneaky or lucky or something, but I saw some battle reports from the field, and he's just a machine. Fucker just shoots his way through everything we throw his way. I know this place is safe, but I figure he'll show up sooner or later. I heard he's got some personal beef with Serene. So when he comes, you better stay out of his way. Let the Jarheads handle that, if they can. If Joyce is coming after Serene, he's gonna be pretty mad when he finds out the boss took a chopper out. You hear anything about that? What the fuck was that about? So it could get pretty ugly. See you when the dust clears, I guess. Stay safe, man. Radio node. Won't work in stutters. Radio waves get stuck, same as everything else. Use stutter-proofed hardline terminals instead.
What's going on here? Thought I'd run into organized resistance.
Monarch shifted gears. There's this survival program, and you're either in it or you're irrelevant. So everybody's just scrambling, and Serene's acting weird. Nobody knows what's going on. Everybody's just waiting for it all to end. But you're gonna keep that from happening, right?
Well, that is the plan, darling.
I was getting closer to the countermeasure. Paul had the key to fixing the fracture all along, but he didn't see it.
There was nothing to see. He believed the fracture couldn't be fixed. That's why he used the countermeasure, the CFR, to create the lifeboat.
Fuck is that?
I really hope we don't have to face one of those. Paul Serene is the security team lead. Martin Hatch has been detained, and his authority over Monarch Solutions and its employees, along with his security clearance, has been rescinded. I want a full security team watching him at all times. He is not to be given access to any computer systems or communications. Don't talk to him, and don't allow him to talk to anybody. Lock him down and keep him locked down. If he attempts to escape, shoot to kill. I'll deal with him when I'm done with the present crisis.
Those men died fighting something that lives outside of time.
The very reason our weapons program was built. Serene knew they were coming.
Weapons weren't doing the trick.
Let me worry about that.
It's just that I'm really not sure this is okay. Couldn't we just check with somebody?
Do I have to look up your home address?
No, sir.
See that you do.
Fiona, can you get this door open for me?
I think so. Sorry, this isn't quite my forte. I know a guy who would do this in his sleep, but he's about as dependable as... Oh, never mind, that's it. Be careful. No one comes.
Come on, recharge faster. There goes one. Really glad it changed guns on me. Perfect. Finally.
You told me that Hatch had Paul's full support. I saw otherwise.
There was a temporary misunderstanding.
Vera Kovacs to Alum Loden. Alum, did you hear that Hatch is out? I don't know exactly what went down, but Holden from Acquisition says Hatch did something to really piss off Serene. Maybe something that involved blowing something up on the island? I don't know, and frankly, I don't know if Holden did either. It all sounds pretty crazy even by Monarch standards. Anyway, Holden says Hatch got escorted out of his office by a whole bunch of armed security guards. I mean, that wasn't a security, we'll escort you out of the building situation. Holden says it was for real, so I guess that guy's done. Good riddance. Maybe now we can get some work done without him Darth Vadering the crap out of us. That guy's always creeping me out. Oh, I had another thing too. You were right, Dr. Amaral came back. I was sure Joyce would just kill her, but nope. She made it back alive. Anyway, glad I was wrong about that one. She's cool people. She picked a good time to come back too. Things are getting really bad outside. It's really starting to dawn on me we're really lucky to be in here, instead of stuck out there with all the craziness. They said there's planes coming down out of the sky right now. Crazy. Let me know you're okay, Alum.
Monarch had turned the entire city against them. Used threats, violence to try to wipe out any evidence of their actions. It wasn't working.
The Hardline Protocol. Eliminate initial witnesses, Reaper Squad. Identify, prioritize further OPSEC threats. Operational security threats. Eliminate, intimidate, silence as required, no loose ends, unfortunate accident, allow no access to the site. Stonewall, no follow-up statements and no proof equals nothing for media to work with. Info warfare. See Charlie Woodcott for details. Contain and shut down all online leaks, track, and neutralize users immediately. Disrupt cell connectivity, filter out content as required.
Fiona, I'm trying to get to the Skybridge.
Skybridge. You're in marketing right now, that's... Okay. Yeah, I think I got it. Hey, Jack. Be careful. There's something really weird going on in this building.
Monarch was scrambling. Paul's empire was falling apart all around me. I'd never seen anything like it. But Paul had. That's what he was preparing for all those years. He didn't do a very good job.
Holy shit.
Alright. Bruce Livingston to Sophia Amaral about my screenplay and new video. Oh, it's not a long script this time, thank God. Hey, Sophia. Still haven't heard from you about my screenplay. I know you're busy with all your work, but this is really taking off in a big way, so let's try to get going on this, okay? I know this thing is going to be huge, so I just went ahead and mortgaged my house to make this thing a reality. It's my dream, and I'm gonna follow my dream. And once I get the Kickstarter going, this thing's gonna pay me back for the mortgage, so no problem. I already shot a short promo thing for the KS campaign. Let me know what you think. That was the promo? Oh my god. Okay. I'm gonna star in it, but I've got a really cool part for you too if you want it. You'd be perfect for it. Also, like I said, I'm gonna need that science feedback stuff soon. Let me know ASAP. That was the promo. Let's look at that again. I forget the name of the thing. What does it say? Does it say Time Stabber? Alright.
They have a time machine here? Shit. This is where they brought the University core. This is Paul's machine. Looks like they have it on the top floor.
Monarch Paperweight with a note. Ensure personally that CFR chamber is secure. Bernard Riker to Paul Serene. Sir, I know you won't have a chance to read this email until you return to the headquarters, but I have turned this over in my head repeatedly and I see no other option than to let you know what I have done. I have deactivated the stutter proofing at the building. I had maintenance access and I used it, but I want you to know I did it under tremendous duress. Martin Hatch left me no choice. He threatened my family and I didn't know what else to do. I still don't. I know there are shifters out there, the stutter proofing is gone, and I don't have a Chronon harness, so technically, I'm safe. The shifters only exist in stutters, and when one of those hits, I freeze, just like the rest of the world. So whatever happens during the stutter, I'm safe, barring some kind of desynchronization related accident. What that means, though, is that one eye blink I'm here, and the next one there's 2 dead strikers on the floor. Dead because of me. Their blood all over me from nowhere. I'm looking at them right now, typing this on my phone. I can smell the blood, and I don't know, ozone, I guess? And smoke? Their gears sparking. They'd be alive if I hadn't. I'm sorry, I think I'm hyperventilating. I don't know if I can hold it together much longer. I don't know why Hatch wanted this to happen, but he did. I think he wants the CFR for some reason. You can't trust that fucker, sir. I know you're close, but I think he's as evil as they come. I'm so sorry, sir. I'm not making excuses. I know I fucked up. I don't know how to deal with this. I have always respected your drive and dedication. You have no idea, but I don't have those things. I'm just an engineer. This is too much for me. If you come back and fix things, please look after my family. They didn't have anything to do with this. Bernard Riker, Senior Chronon Tech.
What the fuck? Was that Hatch? The train.
All personnel, stay clear of the lower levels. There's a possible hazard. Repeat, stay clear of the lower levels. There appears to be a train crashed into the building. The situation is under control. All personnel should remain in secure areas. There are intruders in the building. Repeat, remain in secured areas.
Another door I need help with, Fiona.
You're at Serene's office. Good. Just a second. This one's a little tricky. Serene's got access to the CFR chamber, and there's going to be a pretty dangerous guy there guarding. Got it. Just be careful, okay?
Paul was already gone, but he left behind the one thing I needed.
Untitled note. I have left this message here for you to find, so that soon, when the time comes and I ask you to choose, you can do so with your eyes open and with some hint of understanding. I have no secrets, and the only things I choose to omit are the ones that you, in your current limited state, would not be able to grasp, no matter how hard I tried to make you understand. I have walked down the same path you are now on, once from your perspective a long time ago. Although time no longer has such meaning to me, I too came in contact with a time machine. In my case, it was not a man-made device, but a natural one, in a cave. It should come as no surprise, really, that such things exist, much like natural nuclear reactors do exist, such as the now-defunct ones at Oklo, Africa. After all, the Meyer-Joyce field has its irregularities. I, too, became Chronon active. I, too, developed Chronon syndrome. And in time, I, too, lost control and became a shifter. Became at once everything and nothing. Was everywhere and nowhere. Died countless deaths and was still alive. My every probability, every possibility happening at once. I promised I would not lie, and thus I will tell you. The noise and the pain and the rage were more than anyone could suffer and not go insane. I burned in this fire for a long time. There was brief moments of awareness in this endless nightmare, different versions of certain key moments in my life that I found myself reliving again and again, trying to make things right, like a puzzle, on and on and on. I am convinced that the stutters and the end of time saved me, for those were the only places, the only times where I could briefly stop and rest, and slowly find focus and control again, and ultimately master this state. Not emerge from it, not be cured, but to go back to what I was before, for there is no such thing but to learn to be in one place and everywhere at once. My perception is altered, like that of someone who has seen a perceptual illusion, and discovered that the picture is both a young girl and an old woman at the same time. Once you see them both, you can never not see them. We are such limited beings, we play with just one piece, on just one square, on an endless chessboard. Just one life, one timeline, in an infinite multiverse of possibilities. Am I an exception? The only one who has found his way to the other side? Or is this just a shifter's brief dream before a stutter collapses? There are other shifters. You, your best friend who is now your mortal enemy, Dr. Kim, others, some of whom you know. It doesn't matter who, because they are gone. And when they emerge, if they ever emerge, they will not be who they were, just as I am not who I was before you. I have done my part in helping you all achieve this state. If time is an ocean with a frozen surface, then the stutters and the end of time are holes in that ice, opportunities to come up for air. I have a plan, it's already in motion, but it would be futile to try and explain it to you, like trying to explain 3 dimensions to someone who can only see 1. But make no mistake, I do not look down on you. I strive for humility even as I shift this world from one state to another. I will make this possible. I stand in between I don't see myself as a gate. I remain humble. I'm something smaller. A hatch. Who is this guy? Like, this has to be Martin Hatch. Like, a hatch has to be, like it has to be him. So how old is this guy then? That is an interesting backstory that I would like to know, if it, like, what's going on with him. Huh.
We have a mission. Prep the chopper.
Ready to lift off in 15, sir. What's the profile?
Full tactical complement. And we're going to need a tech squad for assembly. I'll brief them on the way.
Copy that. Good hunting, sir.
My office alarm went off. Is that you skulking around, Jack?
Fuck you. I'm done playing games. I'm here for what you stole.
Yes, of course.
The CFR. If you understood just how much depended on that, you'd leave it alone. But I know you don't care.
You're right. I don't. And it looks like you're not here to stop me.
Yes. Yes, everything will play out as it has to play out. I'll see you very soon, Jack.
I'm done dancing your tune, you crazy bastard. That was just a couple of minutes between stutters.
The countermeasure was Paul's prize. Everything he'd built was based on Will's device. His plan depended on it. You better believe I look forward to taking it from him.
Only one of Serene's treatments survived the explosion. His time was running out.
So was everybody else's.
From Sophia Amaral to Paul Serene about the Time Machine Core. Starting with... Okay, from Sophia. Paul, we now have finalized the plans for acquiring and transporting the Time Machine Core from the University Lab. Your instructions are quite clear. We won't actually move in until your younger self has entered the machine, and the men will try to take the Joyces alive, with the understanding that Jack Joyce in particular could be a threat, and neither can be allowed to escape under any circumstances. I'm still quite uncomfortable with all of this, Paul. I understand your reasoning, and I know the stakes are high, but I don't want to see anybody hurt. It's your antithetical to my role as a scientist, and I wish you'd reconsider. Surely there's a better way to resolve this. Moral implications aside, the loss of Dr. Joyce's expertise alone would be a great blow. If everything goes smoothly and quietly, we will transport the core directly to the Monarch Tower via ground route. If there's commotion, and it seems there's any risk of detection, we will instead airlift the core to our dry docks operation, and then move it discreetly from there to the headquarters. The construction of the new time machine frame at the top of Monarch Tower has been finished since last year. Once we have received the core, it will be installed into the time machine per your orders. I know you don't intend to use it, but even with the limitations the nature of time travel imposes on us, I have to say it seems like a great waste not to take advantage of such a resource, both from a strategic and a scientific point of view. From Paul. Sophia, I understand why you would feel that way, but this isn't something I take lightly. It's my experience that time travel only complicates things. And while my own trip through time has given us great opportunities, it also sets me on this path. I want to control it, not use it. That said, I want to have the machine ready for use for emergencies. My foreknowledge of future events will end very soon, and it might prove to be useful to have the option of obtaining more detailed information from the future. Obviously, given that the furthest you could go back is the machine's activation at the university, visiting the past seems fairly useless. Also, ensure that the machine is heavily guarded at all times. Nobody is allowed to operate the machine besides myself, and I want the corridor to remain undeployed unless I give specific orders to the contrary. As for the Joyce brothers, I intend to give William the option of joining us, if possible, but I know him. He's a very stubborn and unstable man, and I don't know if we could ever trust him. I don't need to remind you what he built in that ridiculous little workshop with very limited resources, a device that broke the local physics at Ground Zero and caused my Cronin syndrome. I don't intend to give him a chance to show us what else he could do if he decides that we're a target. That, along with the visions I have seen, there are certain sentimental reasons that make me wish I could let William live, but I doubt that he makes it possible for us. As for Jack, I'm not too worried about him. It took me a long time to master my abilities, so Jack shouldn't be a major problem unless he manages to use stutters to escape the area. Luckily, stutters should be very rare in these early stages of the fracture. Still, I've come too far to take any chances. I'd prefer to take him alive, but nothing can be allowed to put our plan at risk. I'm sorry to have to involve you in something like this. I know it's not what you signed up for, and as I said, I don't expect you to be personally involved with that part of the operation in any way. I'm not particularly happy about this part myself, and I wish I had better options. But our circumstances are as they are, and I have come too far to falter now. I hope you understand. From Sophia. Yes, of course. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to add to your burden, and I know that these are hard decisions. You can count on us to proceed as planned. I know you're exceptionally busy now that the time is almost upon us, but I was hoping you'd have time for dinner. From Paul. Sophia, please update me on our progress with the Time Machine Core relocation. Where are we with this? Thank you. Paul. Don't worry about it. We're on schedule. Your Time Machine Core from the university has been transported to the headquarters, and it's currently being installed into the new Time Machine frame we've built for it. You'll have direct access to it from the CFR chamber as requested. And no, before you ask, you can't actually access the CFR chamber from the time machine. The elevator can only be activated from within the chamber, so no one working on the machine can get to the CFR. I thought you'd appreciate that layer of added security. I know how important it is to keep the CFR safe. Anyway, I know you don't actually intend to use the time machine, but should you ever need it, all we need to do is deploy the corridor. It's actually all hooked up now. While we're still running some final diagnostics, the techs should be ready with it before the gala's over. Did we not use this? I guess I didn't read this, I don't think. Clarice, as you know, I have a mission to embark on, so I'll try to be brief. I have initiated the lifeboat protocol over Martin's objections. Given how things have developed since then, I'm glad I did. I don't fully understand Martin's motives, but it's obvious he's moving against me and against the entire survival plan itself. I know you've worked closely with him, and I know that this must come as a shock. It's also alarming that in evading capture, Martin took out an entire security team. For an unarmed man who ostensibly not combat trained, that should be impossible. Obviously, this is a highly alarming news. I don't know if he had help, or if there's even more to Martin than we have come to suspect. But he's had free reign over this company for a long time, and he's extremely resourceful and persuasive. It's not clear to me who I can trust at this point, but I know I can depend on you. I trust that you will see things through in my absence and ensure the shutterproofing stays up. In particular, I would appreciate if you would ensure that Dr. Amaral stays safe in the lifeboat. She has been through a lot during the past 24 hours, and she still managed to make her way back to us and bring vital intel. Thank you for your loyal service, Clarice. It has always been appreciated.
"17 years he lived through twice. All of it mapped out, from memory.
He knew the market trends before they occurred. He had the tools to make a fortune, and he did.
Paul saw what was coming. It broke him. He refused to believe that it could be changed, and he cast aside the only people who could have convinced him otherwise.
From Amaral to Paul Serene, Quantum Ripple Research Unit. Paul, Martin, I know you've both been arguing that the Quantum Ripple Casualty Research Subdivision has great potential, and we should keep it funded. I must once again implore you to reconsider. I'll be the first one to admit that the technology is impressive. The fact that doctors, Morphin, and Rangers can actually track the consequences rippling out from minor shifts within the Meyer-Joyce field is incredible. And the level of informational detail they manage to obtain is amazing. But here's the thing. They've been at this for 2 years now, and they have not produced a single useful result. Yes, we can trace actual events from their small inception point to the actual consequences, very much in keeping with the basic chaos theory concept of that butterfly flapping its wings, but well, so what? Every single thing that happens in the universe is the result of such a chain of events. Being able to see the chain offers no real insight to anything due to the very randomness of the process. Furthermore, it's utterly misleading. You could say that some tiny event or tiny decision in my life yesterday led me to writing this email, and that's technically true. But so did some tiny event or tiny decision in my life 15 years ago. It's all a chain. The event yesterday didn't take place in a vacuum. It didn't come out of nowhere, so what's the point? We have no control over it, we don't get to direct it, and we get no useful information out of it. Also, have you actually seen the reports they generate? From a technological point of view, the way they manage to automate their analysis of the fluctuation signatures within the Meyer-Joyce field is impressive. But again, it's all meaningless babble with no practical applications. Their personal remarks on the reports are even worse. With all due respect to Ron and Terry and their indisputable technical expertise, I don't know what they're doing, and I'm not sure they do either. It's like they're coming up with stuff at random. The above outlines my concerns as to the futility of the entire process, and I suspect that may not be enough to sway you. But I have one final point, which I think you should consider very, very carefully. The entire program is an unforgivable waste of Monarch resources. I don't mean money, although the entire Quantum Ripple Casualty Research Subdivision is costing us millions and millions of dollars. But that doesn't really matter, because I know we can afford that. However, there's a more vital resource they're consuming. Each time they fire up their rig and delve into the Meyer-Joyce field, they eat up a huge amount of chronon particles. Those are a finite resource, and as you know, we are projecting that the Ground Zero's yield will rapidly diminish as the fracture takes hold, which will happen very soon. You may not understand what the real impact of this is, so let me put it to you in practical terms. Every single time they detect and analyze a quantum ripple, it costs us a week of potential lifeboat runtime, minimum. Given Monarch's primary purpose and the total lack of useful results, I believe that's a luxury we cannot afford. I recommend shutting them down immediately, or at the latest during the next reorg. We can reallocate their resources to something useful and put Ron and Terry's expertise into great use designing the lifeboat. I'm sure we wouldn't regret putting them to work on that, given their track record of working with Chronon Tech.
Paul spent a long time running Monarch in secret. It probably didn't help with that whole disconnected from reality thing.
Reflections on the end. I wish my memories about the end of time were clearer, but was anything but a clear time in my life. And the world was such a jumble, a frozen mess of different timelines crashing together. I was running for my life the whole time, trying to avoid the shifters. Not an ideal state of mind for gathering intel. And it didn't help me that she kept chasing me, trying to kill me. Beth Wilder. One of my own people. It was her all along. Even then, trapped in the end of time, as little as I understood about what was going on, I could tell she wasn't like me. That she didn't have the powers I did. I knew she had some kind of technology that kept her going in that suspended hell. Of course, I had no idea it was a device I would eventually have my people develop. I suppose I should appreciate the irony that it was her Chronon harness, my own Chronon harness, that gave me the idea for the lifeboat protocol. The idea that our technology could let humanity survive the end of time. I suppose I have to thank her for that. And she paid for her sins in the end. But she left her mark on me. I know the time to pay for mine is approaching quickly, but not just yet. Back then, when Wilder and I played our game of cat and mouse at the end of time, if I'd had an ounce of the control over my powers that I do now, things would have turned out very differently between the two of us. She was strong and had the training, and I was young and weak and scared. Even so, my abilities gave me an edge. I was lucky she didn't have the full striker gear. She was the one with the upper hand. I didn't learn to properly control my abilities until much later. In those days, they were unpredictable and operated on instinct. Control didn't come easy. I can't help but be aware that this doesn't seem to be the case for Jack. His mastery is growing by leaps and bounds. Is it just because that's the way he's always been? Fast on his feet? Bold and adaptive, or is the fracture affecting him too? I thought we could contain him. It's cost us dearly. It's not a mistake I will make again. Oh, 13 points. Probably should have looked at this quite a while before. Quite a while before? Something of the sort. Well, I guess the only thing left is the time shield. Why is it still highlighted?
Paul was a powerful man, the leader of an empire. But behind the veil, he was a dying man. The signs were clear. Dr. Amaral was the one thing keeping Paul alive, but reading through their exchanges, there was something more than professional going on.
That's not my place to comment on.
Sophia's personal notes. I find myself at a loss. We knew that the fracture would arrive. It was clear very quickly that the process was occurring much faster than Paul's projections. His experiences had led us to believe. That was alarming in itself, but there's another concern with the fracture. Paul's condition seems to be accelerating rapidly. I don't know what to do about either one of these issues. I haven't had a chance to examine Paul properly, and of course he won't consent to any real tests at this point. He won't take the time, not with the situation being as critical as it is. He has to prepare for the gala, to take care of every little stupid thing Martin trots out for him. He won't think of himself at all, and I'm afraid that'll cost us dearly. So I don't know. I'm just speculating, but I believe this acceleration is a reaction to the stutters in time. In Zero State, his wave function is further disrupted by the excess of chronon energies within his body. Before the university incident, before the fracture, the condition was progressive, but controllable. The lack of stutters helped keep it in check. Now its progress is rampant, and I worry that it may reach a critical point soon. We always knew that was a possibility, but all of our projections assumed we would have years, time enough to come up with a cure, or a way to stop its progress. Which means there's a very real chance that in the near future, Paul's condition overtakes him, and if he does become a shifter, I don't know what to do about it. We haven't been able to help Dr. Kim. I don't know what we could do for Paul. I don't know what to do. The treatments are still working, but they take a toll on him, and their effect is greatly diminished. I'm concerned we may hit a point where he's forced to use them so often that the treatment becomes worse than the condition itself. And yet, I don't see any other options. He will not rest. He insists on doing so much. I know he chafes under his dependence on the treatments. He sees it as a weakness. I'm afraid I may lose him.
Chance to walk away, Joyce!
Just one of you. Really? Look, you have to realize you're not going to keep me from the CFR. You don't look like you're in any shape for this. Have it your way. Of course he's got one of those fucking things.
And of course my powers don't work.
Don't do it, man. Just stay down.
Fuck you. I've got too much writing on this. You're not going anywhere.
I like how you couldn't even walk over to that to reload your ammo before the cutscene happened. Like, that's a tease. That's just a rude tease.
Seeing that face put it into perspective. They were all misled, manipulated to believing they were doing what was right, what was necessary.
Liam Burke made his choice.
Liam Burke was an unnecessary casualty. One of way too many. They'd stockpiled all the chronon particles from Ground Zero to keep the lifeboat running.
Enough to hopefully last until a proper solution was discovered.
From Sophia Amaral to lifeboat maintenance. Everyone, please be advised that we are now at a point where lifeboat activation may occur. Accordingly, I have ensured that preparations are underway for activation. As a part of that, what chronon particle stores still remain at the Ground Zero harvesting operation are being moved to the headquarters and placed into the Master Chronon Particle Repository, ready to be placed under the CFR's control. Please be aware that what we have managed to accumulate until this point is very likely to be all the chronon particles we have ever have access to. Due to the fracture's effects on the Meyer-Joyce field, the Ground Zero anomaly is showing definitive signs of weakening. As a result, the chronon particle yield decreases drastically, and will soon drop to baseline while we obviously continue more traditional chronon particle harvesting operations in order to maximize our stockpile. I'm having so much trouble right now. We all need to recognize that sourcing them outside of the Ground Zero conditions is extremely inefficient. Or, in plain terms, unless we find another source of chronon particles, and I don't believe we will, what we have now is all we will ever have. Please be aware that all use of chronon technology eats into our limited resources, and while we of course recognize that we need to have our strikers and other soldiers operate in stutters, each operation undertaken will eat away at our stockpile, and in very real terms cost us days of lifeboat runtime. Accordingly, we have to plan all use of this technology closely and choose our battles carefully. That said, we should also realize the ongoing situation with Jack Joyce constitutes an emergency and will most likely require unconventional chronon particle investments. Just the same, we should be aware of the cost. I expect to see projected chronon particle consumption rates for the foreseeable future and simulations of how long our stockpiles will last, adjusted for all of the scenarios we have discussed. See our last meeting minutes in our next Monday meeting.
The lifeboat revolved around the countermeasure. He knew Will would try to take it back, that's why he was killed. He knew I'd try to do the same eventually.
Clearly, he was right.
From Lauren McStevenson to the lifeboat maintenance. People, because there seems to be a certain lack of clarity about when it's appropriate for someone to enter the CFR chamber and mess with the chronon field regulator, and because I just had to fire Kevin Janeway because he did the exact thing, let me remind you of the approved CFR procedure. You do not touch the CFR. Period. I may touch the CFR because I'm the lead technician in charge of it. Dr. Sophia Amaral may touch the CFR because she's our head of research and she knows what she is doing. Mr. Paul Serene may touch the CFR because he's Paul fucking Serene and it's his CFR. Nobody else touches the CFR. On occasion, some enormously lucky individuals who have been personally trained by me and are proven to be very, very dependable and incredibly good at their jobs, who don't have a track record of trying to enter the CFR chamber like paint-huffing imbeciles because they just wanted to take a closer look at it, and who have remembered to bribe the lead technician in charge of the CFR with Tom Waits tickets, may be given written instructions to perform specific procedures on the CFR. That will be a great honor and a sign of significant degree of trust. And those people should be accorded all professional respect and an appropriate degree of brown-nosing and or passive-aggressive displays of envy by their peers. Or to put it in another way, you do not touch the CFR unless you want to join Kevin in the how to stop being an arrogant dumb shit who jeopardized the whole hope of a future for the entire race because his mansplaining ass thought what the CFR really needed was a random dude who knew better. Self-improvement course down at the unemployment office, which I'm sure is where we all believe he was escorted to by those armed men. There are no exceptions to this. The entire lifeboat protocol depends on the CFR being present, properly connected, and functioning normally. You do not want to jeopardize this. This is bigger than any of us, and we are not here to fuck around. Lauren McStevenson, leads CFR Tech. Well, that was straight and to the point, hey?
Fiona, I'm at the CFR chamber. Door's locked.
That's way above my access level. But since my friend disabled security earlier, I should be able to do this. Listen, I don't really know what the plan is, but it's all up to you now. Good luck.
No, you're not going to go. There you go.
It was like walking into a shrine.
There'd been some kind of struggle in the chamber.
This was our holy relic.
I didn't know the details. Somebody cleaned it up.
A man named Charlie Wincott. I believe he chose to take a stand. Unfortunately, it ended badly for him.
Mm-hmm. Well, it seems to be that kind of work environment.
Yeah, definitely not worth it. Personal notes from Dr. Henry Kim on the CFR. This thing feels like a conundrum wrapped in a puzzle. It's an incredible piece of technology, and I feel like we're only scratching the surface of what it can do. And we have already learned so much. I thought I had a good understanding of the intricacies of chronon particles and their practical applications before. Now I realize that I still got a great deal to learn. The chronon field regulator, as I've decided to call it, is a little miracle. How such a small device can do so much is beyond me. I know it taps into the Meyer-Joyce field, but I don't know how. My experiments just show it can do it. It can still manipulate the field. I wish I knew how. Still, the mechanics of its operation give me ideas. New avenues of thought I've been trying to find for such a long time. The task that I've been set by Mr. Serene has frankly stumped me for years. Knowing that what we observe as the passage of time is just the result of chronon particles being consistently generated within the Meyer-Joyce field is a simple fact that I've been aware of for a long time. But being able to manipulate those particles in a meaningful way, well, that's another question. The mechanics of the situation are clear, almost frustratingly so. In a zero-state environment, there are no chronon particles, and thus time is frozen. The idea of artificially flooding an area with chronon particles to enable the passage of time is the obvious solution. But actually finding a way of doing that, that's something else. Not only are chronon particles incredibly difficult to source, so obtaining enough to actually stutter-proof an area for any time longer than a fraction of a second has always seemed impossible. Perhaps even more importantly, the mechanism of manipulating the particles in a way that would actually allow me to define a certain volume of space as stutter-proofed has constantly eluded me. Well, Ground Zero has solved that former problem for us. We're almost up and running, and very soon we will have the ability to harvest chronon particles at useful rates. We'll be able to build a truly formidable stockpile of them in the years to come. As for the latter problem, manipulating the chronon particles, that seems to be something the CFR does with ease. Its ability to tap into the Meyer-Joyce field and effect changes in its topology is exactly what I need. Unfortunately, I don't know how it does it. I don't have a clue, and I don't know how to effectively control these effects. But my research into the practical effects of its operation has given me ideas for a different kind of chronon technology that works on somewhat similar principle. Except instead of tapping into the Meyer-Joyce field, it generates a similar localized field of its own, an artificial chronon particle field. And within that field, we can manipulate chronon particles at will. This means that we should be able to create stutter-proofing technology, allowing us to shield a certain area from the effects of zero state. And I believe I will be able to miniaturize the technology to allow for personalized devices with the same effect. Almost like an environmental suit of sorts, with a harness the user would wear to create a chronon field around his body. There are still many challenges here, one of which is that any significant volume of stutter-proofed space will incur an unacceptably high drain on chronon particles, which are decidedly limited resource. Obviously, with the lifeboat protocol requiring a large stutter-proofed area that we can maintain for years, quite possibly decades, this is a critical issue we have to solve. And Mr. Serene has made that quite clear to me. Frankly, even with Mr. Hatch backing me, the thought of disappointing Serene over this makes me quite anxious, and I understood his concerns, and they are, of course, entirely founded. But the man's intensity is unnerving. In any case, I'm hopeful that I will figure out this problem soon. I'm hoping to be able to use the CFR itself to regulate the flow of chronon particles, given its nature. I suspect it might be eminently suitable for such a role in the lifeboat project and cut down our chronon consumption rate by a great margin. My control over the CFR is limited, but this seems to be a very basic functionality for it, so I'm optimistic that I can still do it. I'm still looking into it, one thing at a time. We've already made great progress, and I will say that Mr. Serene's been quite complimentary with these successes. So I think he'll give us the time we need. Well, it's not like he has a lot of choice in the matter. I'll be honest, the CFR is becoming a bit of an obsession for me. I wish I could sit down and have the conversation and just ask those questions. How did he build it? What's it actually for? But I've been denied that opportunity. A part of me wants to open the CFR up and get to the bottom of it. But the potential consequences terrify me. We've already seen what it can do if unleashed. Even worse, there's the possibility that I couldn't put it back together, and just the idea of making a mistake like that is positively bowel-liquefying thought. Having to explain that to Mr. Serene? No thank you. So as it is, I have only dared to open up a bit of the casing to get a rough idea of some of the engineering inside. It's amazing work, and it has certainly been a lesson in humility for me. I still have a lot to learn, but I'm a very fast learner, and this has to be the most important work anyone has ever engaged in the history of humanity. If we succeed in our mission, the world will not soon forget the name of Dr. Henry Kim. Yeah, that's the poor dude that was in the cage because he became a shifter. Data Samurai.
It took 11 years for Will to build the countermeasure. Beth died for it, and I knew it could fix the fracture.
This fucking thing.
The problem was, I didn't have a clue how to use it. The only person who did was dead. But Monarch had a way of getting to him before that ever happened.
The University time machine. They've got the core here.
Monarch had built their own time machine above the CFR chamber. That's where I needed to go.
You still believed you could go back and save your brother?
Yes.
Damn rights I can.
Paul took the core of the time machine from the university, hooked it up to his own machine. It was part of his sick desire for control.
But that gave me one last shot at fixing things. I could go back. Maybe get to Will before Paul killed him. And if I could get the countermeasure in Will's hands, maybe I could still turn everything around.
Lots of explodey things.
The core was set, the machine was prepped. I had to put the corridor in place. Okay, this should do it.
Deploying the corridor. Phase 1 underway. Please clear all personnel.
Core.
Holy shit, how many? Oh.
Move in and find it. Go.
Thanks for the heads up.
Take down. Take down.
Time to move.
Get behind him!
Corridor deployment confirmed. Corridor
Oh, you're welcome, you very slow machine lady.
The machine was ready.
Sounds like
I
the
just need
portal
to clear the
lady.
gate. The earliest I could go back to was the time that the core was first activated. At the university.
Not much time to rescue your brother.
I didn't have a choice.
You better be as advertised.
Whew, well, that was a long part. So, where are we at here? Yeah, that was a exceptionally long part. I think with all the reading that was going on. So we're going to end that there. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. It was it's been good.